We're back. We're not supposed to be here, but we're here. This is that same soccer field we were going to at the beginning of the summer until we were kicked out. Because behind me is the town pool, and the people that are in that pool can hear us. And apparently, they became aware of us and told us not to come anymore. So we stopped coming. But now the pool is closed because the summer is over. So unless somebody comes here now with to play soccer, which they could, we got this to ourselves. So it's been a while. I'm gonna turn the phone upside down for a second. Let me see. I have the phone upside down somehow. So over the summer, in August, Charlie turned 8 years old. So he's still very active, very healthy. He's got a lot of muscle on him. He still has the same amount of energy, it seems. Maybe slightly less energy than he used to have, but he used to. He gets periodic little pains here and there and stuff like that, it seems. But for the most part, he's pretty damn. He's pretty. He's pretty buff. The other place we used to go was the school, and I have not been there the entire summer because we were kicked out of there as well. And I went past it on the way over here, and I couldn't believe it, but the big field that we used to sit on has been paved. They made it a gigantic parking lot. And it was beautiful because it had these nice trees on the sides, like it had this like an alley of trees that led to the school building. And in the spring, they blossomed with these pink flowers, and it was really beautiful. You know, you had to go underneath like 20 trees, and they left 4 of the trees up. The rest of them are all cut down, and now it's a giant parking lot there. So I guess that's progress. I live on Long Island, which is a suburban area, not too far from Manhattan, New York City, and Queens, and things like that, which is very urbanized. And this was always suburban. This part of New York, it was always suburban, but it's becoming more urban. As more and more people move out of the city and move out to this area, they're bringing the city with them, which is kind of stupid. You know, you would think that they would want to enjoy the aspects of the island that make it a nice place to live, like having a lot of green spaces and just enjoying nature. But it seems like they just want a big city. That's all that it seems to be. Everybody wants a big city. Every house that comes, like, if there's a house over here that has a plot of land that has like the space for 2 houses, they will buy the house, and immediately within a month of selling the house will be knocked down, and 2 gigantic houses that will occupy the entire footprint of the land will go up so that there's no lawn. It'll just be building to building, gigantic houses. You know, 20,000 square foot houses. And usually they're multi-family too. So it'll be a one family, like zoned one family, and they must do something to the town. The town must be willing to accept it because they have to pay higher taxes. And the town accepts it, and they build two family houses where it used to be one family house. So, you know, the taxes go up, and that's how the town makes money. And then, you know, the people that have a one family house are at a disadvantage because you're not making any income on the property. What a good boy. He's a happy boy. When he makes that face, I know he's happy. I gotta give him some more water. I always bring bottles of water. Good boy. Yeah. on my Instagram page, some people see occasionally I have him playing in the backyard with this little boy. And that little boy is my nephew. That's my niece's son. And I watched her grow up. And now she's a mother. And I was taking pictures of him playing with Charlie because like, they were just both running across the yard. And I was taking pictures and I was editing them today. Um, and I was thinking to myself, like at some point, you know, because he just turned 8, because he turned 8, you know, they don't live forever. You know, these dogs live maybe 15, 20 years, probably 15, like in his type of a breed's case, you know. Hopefully longer, and hopefully he's healthy. But as I was taking the picture and adjusting the picture and stuff like that, and I was looking at the boy, I was thinking, like, I'm going to see him grow up too. And then he's going to see a picture at some point of when he was running in the backyard playing with Charlie. And, you know, at that point, he'll probably be, you know, a teenager or a man, you know, going to be a man. And he'll remember this dog that he used to play with. And it made me sad thinking about it, that, you know, that he's not going to be around. It's making me sad right now, actually. I really wish that, you know, they say people live a lot longer than they used to live. And, you know, that people used to live 40 years a long time ago. Like a 50-year-old was like an old man, you know. I just turned 52. And, you know, I'll probably live till I'm 80 or 90, right? So that's basically double what we used to live. You know, a long time ago, people would live, you know, cavemen would live like 40 years, maybe 30, 40 years. You know, so humans have basically almost doubled their lifespan. And during that time, dogs would live 15 to 20 years. And from when we were cavemen, they were living 15 to 20 years, and they're still living 15 to 20 years, despite the fact that they have access to better medical care, better quality water, better quality food. You know, we know what they should be eating, you know, and we treat them better than they used to be. You know, dogs used to be a guardian for the home, and they would, you know, basically be out there and, you know, guarding the sheep or whatever, you know, or working as a watchdog or something like that. That's what dogs used to do. People used to have dogs for that reason, you know, because they would alert you to something going wrong on your property. And despite all that, you know, when dogs were like that, they were not treated that well. They lived outside. You know, they were covered with fleas and ticks and stuff like that. You know, I give him medication to avoid these ticks and fleas. You know, and I'm cognizant of it. If I see something go on him, I take care of it. I bring him to the vet. I have his nails trimmed. You know, any kind of little physical issues, I have him checked every couple of months where he gets tests for his stool samples for parasites, things like that. Despite all that, it doesn't seem that they have found a way to enable dogs to live longer than they used to always live. That's kind of perplexing to me, because I would have thought that if people are living longer, certainly dogs should be living longer. And it kind of bothers me that I'll probably only get 15 years out of him. You know, I would have liked it if he could live 30 years, you know. And I saw this picture of a cat, a 35-year-old cat. It's actually, there's a cat. I think it's in England or something. I don't know if the cat's still alive, but I saw it a few months ago. A picture of this cat that was 35 years old. Hey, I'm back. I got a phone call. While I was recording the other video, I got a phone call and it interrupted this video. Wow. That's annoying. I didn't realize that would happen. I thought that it would just pause because I didn't even answer the phone. Anyway, if you're just joining me now, I was talking about how, you know, humans started, you know, we've been, since the time of the caveman, going back thousands of years and coming up to now, people used to live maybe 35, 40 years, 50 years tops. And back then, you know, during the Middle Ages, if you were 50 years old, you were an old man. You know, you would have white hair and you'd have wrinkled skin, and, you know, occasionally my wife sees people that that have stayed in the country where she lived. You know, she came here when she was 16 from Portugal, and there's women that are the same age as her now that stayed, and they never came here. And she's seen pictures of them, and they really look like old ladies. And they're the same. They went to school with her when she was a little kid, and they got white hair and wrinkles, and they're no teeth, things like that. People live on farms that live outside. Age, you know, the sun ages you, and people like us, we live here, where we have access to clean water, uh, clean food. You know, we live better. You know, we have all this machinery that we don't have to strain ourselves as much. You know, we have cars to move around instead of walking, and you know, you would think that we'd be healthier, and we are indeed living longer. You know, my grandmother lived till she was like 94 years old. My father, you know, he's in his 70s or mid 70s, almost 80. Um, you know, if they live, you know, into their 90s or 100 years old, that's a long time. You know, so if people used to live 50 years and now they're living 100 years, we've almost doubled our lifespan. You know, in a few thousand years, we've doubled our lifespan, and it kind of bothers me that, from what I understand, when dogs first started living with people, around the time we were cavemen, they would live 15 to 20 years, maybe a little less, but most part, you know, if back then a caveman, if he took care of his dog, he'd probably live 15, 20 years. And despite the fact that I take him to the vet very often, he gets tested for parasites. I give him treatment so he doesn't get fleas and ticks. I give him good quality dog food. Uh, I don't give him crap, you know, I don't give him anything that could be bad for him. I'm very mindful of him, you know, I try to give him good exercise, things like that. And despite all that, dogs don't live more than 15 to 20 years today. And it kind of bothers me knowing that there's going to be a time when he's going to die, and I'm going to miss him. You know, I feel bad knowing that he's going to be gone, and he just turned 8. So if he lives 16 years, I have another 8 years maybe. So as much time as I had with him, that's all I'm going to have left. You know, and it feels sad knowing that if uh, if the dog's lifespan could be increased the way humans have increased, it would be, I think it would be nice. And I was mentioning that cat. There was I don't know if I mentioned this in this video or the previous video, but I saw a few months ago a picture of a cat in England, I think it is, or Wales or something like that. And the cat is 35 years old. And it looks like he's 35 years old. I mean, he does not look like a happy cat, but he's alive. You know, apparently he's very slow and things like that. And, you know, but a cat can be 35. Why can't a dog be 35? You know, and I know that there's problems with the idea of if you could double a dog's lifespan, if you could make a dog live 50 years or something like that. People say, well, you know, they have 6 dogs at a time. You know, when they have babies, sometimes they have 6 in a litter. If every one of those dogs was living 50 years, you know, we'd have 10 million dogs all over the place. I don't know about that. I think people are in this day and age they're a little bit more responsible than that. And I don't think there's too many people that are just breeding wildcats. You know, breeding like wildcats, basically. I'm sure that there are some wild dogs that if they could live that long, they would breed. I don't know. I gotta give him some more water. He just knocked over the bowl. So I'm curious what your thoughts might be. If you have any feelings or suggestions about that, or ideas about lifespans of beloved pets. I mean, I know people I've heard of people that will have their animals cloned. You know, they'll have a dog cloned, but it's not the same. You know, I mean, it may look the same. It may have a lot of the same characteristics. But I've seen pictures of dogs that were cloned, and I don't see the cloned dog as looking exactly like the dog that it was cloned from. So I mean, it may genetically be the same, but I see little differences. I mean, but at the same time, this dog has got a personality that's evolved from how he was treated as a child, as a puppy, and he grew into this personality. If he were to pass away and I were to have his genetic material cloned, I got a feeling that that puppy that would be the result of a clone of this dog, would have a different upbringing, because I didn't have a dog before him that I raised. So the things that went into him that makes him what he is the result of how I raised him. I mean, unless I happen to treat a cloned version of him exactly the same, with the odds that he's going to have the same personality traits. I mean, he may physically look like him, but I've seen some where those. I've seen, like I said, I've seen pictures of dogs that were cloned that do not look like. I see where they even have different like colorations on the spots and stuff like that. Like if you look at his, he's pretty evenly patterned. You see that white mark on his head, but like as it goes that back, you see like it has like a kind of to the right. It's got like more of a point to the right. And I've seen a clone of a dog that it didn't have that same exact pattern as the dog that it was cloned from. And I think that's because we're at the beginnings of this process of doing things like that. But I think it's kind of selfish, though, in a way. I think I would not want to just have the same copy over and over again. It's not the same dog, it's a different dog. It just looks similar. I got that bowl in a 99-cent store, and it's got two handles on either side of it, like that. And the reason why I got that was so that if I put it down, because what happens is sometimes he'll tip it over, and then all the water will fall out. And with these holes like that, if I have a stick, I could shove the stick down on either side of it into the ground, and it would keep it kind of rigid, so it wouldn't be as easy to tip. So if you can comment in the video, I'd be curious if you've had dogs, how long have they lived? What's the longest you've ever heard of a dog living? And if you could, do you have any explanations as to why their lifespans are not increasing, despite the fact that they have access to clean food, water, and medications and doctor treatments and stuff like that? Because I think it's actually been since like the 1950s maybe that people began to bring their pets to doctors. Before that, it was just luck of the draw, and nobody really took too good a care of their dogs or cats. I imagine there are probably some people that did, but not nearly as many. And I'm wondering why dogs you would think that with flea and tick medications and better quality dog food, and the fact that we give them good clean water, and that we have more knowledge as to what they should be doing, not giving them chocolate and things that are dangerous for them, we're getting more knowledgeable about things. And I'm just surprised that within like a generation or two from when we began to like awaken, that we don't see like an immediate reaction in as far as like the longevity of lifespans of dogs. I would think that you would see some dogs living like 25 years or something like that. I mean, even if it was just like 25 years would be significant compared to like 20, you know. Because I'm kind of getting sad at the idea that I've only got a couple more years with him. I mean, granted, I could get an accident can happen on the way home tonight, and he can get run over. I hate to jinx myself, but he could get run over on the way home. I could die too. Who knows? Hey, this summer has been so nice. It's really not been a very, very hot summer. We had a very mild winter, actually. So we had a mild winter and a mild summer. I wonder what this winter is going to be. I got a feeling we're going to have a bad winter. It'll be very cold, I got a feeling, this year. He's got schmutz on him. And one thing he doesn't like is cold. He don't like cold. He don't like snow. I don't like snow. I don't like cold. I think I kind of made a mistake because it's feels like it's starting to rain a little bit. And it looks like it might because of these clouds. And I'm about 3 miles from home. And if I start walking back now and it starts opening up on me, I'm going to get screwed. And I'm going to get soaked and the phone may get wet. So I'm going to have to end this video. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time.